Recently, I was able to complete a complete collection of every single TCG card for Suicune. That includes every single variant, every single printing of every single card, more or less. We'll talk about some variants here and there, but to my knowledge, I have pretty much every single variant of every Suicune card that has released since the very first one, like this one right here, the Neo Revelations First Edition Suicune card. And I definitely wanted to show off a little bit and show you every single individual card from the collection, because I'm very excited about it and I wanted to share it with people, as well as give some tips here and there for people who may or may not be trying to complete their own collection of cards, whether it be Suicune or any other Pokemon. And I do have some tips specifically towards cards as they release. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started with my very last purchase, which is the most recent one, is this one right here, the first edition Suicune from Neo Revelations, released September 21st, 2001. Now, like I just said, this was actually the very last card I got. For the longest time, I was debating if I want to do the first edition stamps or not, and ultimately I decided that yes, they are technically variations of the card, so I decided why not, let's go ahead and do it. So that is the very first Suicune card. In the same set, of course, we have the unlimited printing. This one is really, really nice. I've had it for quite a while now. I love the little spiral on the left side of the holo. I'm trying my best to show it off without giving too much of a glare. Forgive me if there's glares in the video. Also in the set, we have a first edition copy of a common, I guess, a common printing of a different Suicune card in the same set, Neo Revelation. And last but not least, a unlimited printing of that same card. So in the first set that Suicune came out, Neo Revelation, it has 4 different arts, or 4 different cards rather, not 4 different arts. 2 arts, but 4 separate cards, 2 first edition, 2 unlimited. And before we move on, I do want to mention that none of these cards are in perfect mint condition, save for maybe some of the newer ones, because a lot of these cards are very, very old, and I do not want to pay top premium dollar for the best of condition quality cards. So this is that first edition one right here. If you flip around, you can see down here it's got some wear. It's got some dings on the edges. I don't know how well the camera can pick that up, but yeah, just keep that in mind. These are not the cream of the crop when it comes to quality quality 10 out of 10 gem mint cards or whatever you want to call them. They're just for my personal collection, and I do not really mind if they are not the best of the best. Anyway, next up we have Suicune from Aquapolypse. This is an e-reader series card, which is really, really interesting. If you know about it or were able to do it back in the day, it's kind of neat. You could plug a huge cartridge scan or card reader thing into your Game Boy Advance. You would slide it like a credit card, and that would give you information about the Pokemon. It might do some other little neat things, like you may get to play a mini game because of the card that you scanned. And there is a small handful of Suicune e-reader cards. You can see the E in the bottom left corner. Regardless, this Aquapolypse Suicune card is very gorgeous. I'm a big fan of that Cosmo Holos foil that Wizards of the Coast used back in the day. And this particular Suicune has 3 different printings in the same set. Another thing that Wizards like to do was to make the holo foil, a non-holo foil, and then the reverse holo foil. The reverses that they did were crazy, honestly. Like, they are very, very shiny. And I do enjoy a good non-holo foil where we can see the art very cleanly without any holographics getting in the way. Moving on, Aquapolypse Suicune had a reprint with a different artwork for the Pokemon Forever movie. You can tell by the little stamp in the bottom right corner of the card that it is from the Forever DVD/VHS release of the movie. When you purchase those, they would just be slotted in there, and this is actually the card, not the very card, but this is the the printing of the card that made me, as a kid, really love Suicune for it to become my favorite Pokemon. I remember having this card and running around with it all the time, and I guarantee you my copy is definitely lost to time, and even if I still had it, it would probably be completely fried, very, very damaged. Regardless, it is because of this card that I do enjoy this Pokemon as much as I do, as well as the movie that it came in as well. I'm very, very nostalgic for that movie, as well as just the Pokemon. I do like this artwork, by the way. I think it is phenomenal. It's very, very clean. It looks really, really nice. One thing that's very interesting too about it is that both of these cards, while they are exactly the same play-wise, they are also drawn, illustrated by the same person. Atsuko Nishida. I don't know if I said their name right. Apologies if I mispronounced it. But it is, I think, rare for a illustrator to essentially do two arts for the same card, play-wise. Now, there is one more variant of this card that was reprinted in 2005, and it's the art from Pokemon Forever, but it's actually not printed by Wizards of the Coast. This is a reprint that TPCI was able to do after they took the rights to create or produce the Pokemon trading card game from Wizards of the Coast. I don't think they took it or anything like that. They just said, okay, we're going to end our deal with Wizards of the Coast and just do it ourselves now. And this is one of the cards they were able to do. It is interesting, though, because this came out in 2005, this was 2003, and these were also 2003. So 2 years after this card came out, they reprinted it. And I'm thinking, like, as a player of a card game, I wouldn't really want to be playing a card that's 2 years old, so I find it very fascinating they found it necessary to reprint this card. I guess it's just a good promo. And it also is nice because then we get the artwork of the Forever movie in a holofoil pattern. Cosmos holofoil as well. Moving on. Next up, we have one of the first big hitters of the collection, save for that first edition Neo Revolutions, which is definitely a big hitter, but this one is probably, it's in the top 4 at least, top 5 of value, I guess, for Pokemon of the Suicune cards. So this is Suicune EX. This is from Team Magma versus Team Aqua. It's got that Cosmos holofoil EX holo pattern that they do for these EX in the era. And as you can see, the e-reader has gone to just the bottom rather than the side and the bottom. It was kind of phasing out at this point, not as popular, but this particular card actually was used in a World Championship deck in 2004 by Reed Wechsler. I don't know if I'm pronouncing their name right. I do apologize once again for mispronouncing of names. So, one thing Pokemon will do is, and I think 2004 may have been the first year they did this, but after the World Championships, they'll take the top 4 players, take their deck lists, and reprint them with a little signature in the bottom right of the artwork, typically, of the person who played the deck. This deck was used in, or this card was used in the deck called Rocky Beach, and it got second place. So Reed placed second in World Championships in 2004. And on top of that, you can tell easily if it is a World Championship card based on the back, because it has the logo of the World Championships as opposed to the traditional Pokemon trading card back. Also, because of this backing, it is illegal for use in tournament play. You can, and they still do this to this day, they still print these World Championship decks that you can pick up and honestly just play with your friends, because you can play a high-level deck with friends for very, very cheap. Just keep in mind that you can't use them in official tournaments. Also, quickly before we move on, I should mention one of my first tips for collecting a specific Pokemon. One of the things you do want to look for is, if you are trying to get every variant of the card, double check that your Pokemon has or has not been any of the World Championship deck lists, because if it has, these cards can be tricky to find, and in recent years they've gone up in price. Like this 2004 one, I don't know how much it goes for, but when I paid for it, I think I only paid like $15 to $20, but I think it has gone up since. And so what I would say is double check your list. Make sure you have any of the World Championships the lists, and see if your Pokemon was in any of them. And then from going forward, as the World Championship lists release, or the decks release, if your Pokemon is in there, make sure you pick up the single right then and there, because you'll be paying like 50 cents or less for the card, as opposed to a potential $20 for a card that isn't even legal for tournament use, which I think is pretty funny, honestly. Alright, moving on to another big hitter, we have RadKatz Suicune EX. First thing to note is that they took out the e-reader stuff, so we're still in the EX era where it's got the Cosmos Holo foil pattern. There is no more e-reader stuff, and we won't be seeing that from here on out. This is honestly a very, very nice looking card. It is a heavy hitter. Definitely not my favorite. I don't particularly love the CG modeling of the Pokemon when they do cards like this. What is the illustrator? It actually isn't a CG. It very well could be. It looks 3D, so that's why I assume it's a 3D model of the Pokemon. It may or may not be. Regardless, I still think it looks really nice. Suicune's looking nice and evil. I liken this to like Pokemon Coliseum, when you can catch the legendary beasts in those games as a shadow Pokemon. And this would have been around that era, 2004. I think Coliseum came out in like 2004, 2005, so it is nice. I think the other legendary beasts also came out as RadKatz cards too, so very, very nice. This came out in Team Rocket Returns in 2004, November 8, 2004. Next up, we have the first Pop series, or Play Pokemon series. I don't know what the Pop stands for. It stands for something like Play Pokemon. Regardless, this was released in booster packs of 2 cards per booster pack during August 2005 to April 2006. You would get this booster pack from playing in official tournaments as prize support. Typically, if you just enter a tournament, they typically give you a booster pack, a prize support booster pack, and if you win the tournament, you may get 1 or 2 more. And this was one of the cards you could pull in that booster pack, a non-holo, a rare of Suicune. It's exactly as you'd expect. It's just a normal Pokemon card. It is just from that Play Pokemon pack. And that brings us up to my next tip. Double check if your Pokemon that you're trying to collect for has any of those Play Pokemon booster pack printings, because they can be hard to find. This one specifically isn't the hardest to get, but the newer ones, and we'll get to one more later, and I'll talk more about it then, but those ones can be very challenging to get a hold of. And so if you pick up the card pretty much on release of the pack, you might pay a little bit more money than after like a couple weeks, but it's worth not risking it going up a crazy amount of price, because those Play Pokemon stamped versions of the cards, those are ridiculous in price. They can do some crazy numbers. This Pop Series 2 Suicune also had a Cosmos Holo foil rare printing in October 2006, so a short time after they stopped releasing the pack that this one was in. This came out in a blister pack. You'll find a lot of these Cosmos Holo foil cards released in blister packs after a year or 2 of the release of the original card. And from here on out, there's actually a couple more. When I was putting together a display that I have for all of these cards, I actually discovered that this card existed and had to adjust my display. So that is another thing to keep in mind, is if you are trying to get every different variant of every single card, you want to keep an eye out for different holofoil patterns from specific blister pack releases and such. I'm going to leave these 2 right here so I can talk about another kind of variant in just a second that I really just learned about maybe a week or 2 ago. And that is to talk about the biggest heavy hitter, Suicune Gold Star. This is probably the most expensive Suicune card, and it probably always will be. I don't foresee this card ever getting surpassed by another Suicune card. This came out in Unseen Forces in 2005, August 22nd. I do like this specific one that I got as well, because it's got that nice spiral right underneath the ribbon. Very, very big fan of this printing. And once again, it is not perfect condition. There are some dings in the back, but it's just personal collection, so I really don't care the super good quality of them. And I want to talk a little bit about this era of Pokemon cards. I learned very recently that it may be even this one. What was this one? Oh, that was Rockets. It could be this one as well. I learned very recently that this bottom left of the card, I don't know how well it'll show up on the actual camera, but the very bottom left of the card has a serial number. And from what I understand, every single card can have, I think, roughly 3 different variations of those serial numbers from like 2003 to 2006. So if you are really, really, really particular in trying to get every single printing of every single card of your desired Pokemon, you may want to look into that and try to get the different variations of those individual serial numbers. Because Suicune came out in this as a Suicune Gold Star, I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to get every variation, if that is even a thing for this card. I was not going to have it, so I'm like, I'm just happy with just the one. And even like Rocket Suicune EX is also another one that would probably fit in that same range, and so those serial numbers could be off, and I don't want to have to get 3 different variations of some of the most expensive cards in the collection. So I'm happy with just every variant rather other than that serial number. Alright, now we move into the Diamond and Pearl era. First off, with the Secret Wonders Suicune from November 7th and 2007. So we have 2 different printings right here. We have the holo foil and the reverse holo foil. And on top of that, we have another variant that I also found out about just fairly recently, probably within the past couple months. Luckily, it wasn't super expensive, but it is a cracked ice holo foil pattern. I don't know if you can see super well on the camera, but hopefully it comes up compared to a Cosmos holo foil style, where it's got the little polka dots. This one's like a shatter effect almost. So yeah, these came out in 2007. The cracked ice one came out in 2010, and it was put into tins, the shiny Suicune tin, and we'll get to that card in a second, but it was put into those tins to show the difference between shiny Suicune and non-shiny Suicune. That's basically the only reason it was in the tins, and I learned very recently, like I said, that it even existed. I had no idea that this card came in those tins until recently. I'm happy I got it when I did, because it was probably going to start going up in price, if not more so. And once again, you can see I've got a little bit of a bend on that card, so like I said earlier, I don't care too much about the quality of the card. I just want the collection. Now we have some very interesting and cool ones that many people may have seen before because of how unique they are. And they are the Legend series of cards. They are obviously very unique because you need 2 cards to create one full card. You get one of them per pack, but you have to have both of them to make the full card. So we have Raikou and Suicune Legend, and Suicune and Entei Legend. There is also a Raikou and Entei Legend, but I don't have that because Suicune's not in it. Personally, I think I prefer the Raikou and Suicune, although I don't love like Suicune's face in that one. I don't know. I'm a little indifferent. I don't really like love these cards. They're fine, I guess. They are very, very cool though. They came out in Heart Gold Soul Silver Unleashed in May 12th, 2010. So Raikou and Suicune, they are like earlier in the set, like number wise. I think it's like these 2 and then these 2, and then it might be Raikou and Entei. And then on top of that, Suicune and Entei were actually used in a World Championship deck. So we have two different printings of these sets of cards. One of them is a non-holo, which is really cool actually, because you get to see the artwork really easily because it doesn't have the holo foil patterning. This was released in the 2011 World Championship deck lists, and it showcases Ross Cawthorn's signature. They won second place in the 2011 World Championships, and it was in the deck called The Truth. Now, all of these World Championship decks, Pokemon, I don't know if Pokemon creates the name for them, or if it's the people that have created the decks that make up the name for it, but they all have a different, like, tagline name, and this one is called The Truth. From what I understand from the list is that if you are into the card game at all, this Suicune and Entei Legend was used as a tech option to play around some meta threat. I think the deck that this was in was like an anti-meta deck. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty dang sure that this card was just like a slot into their deck so they could cover some of their weaknesses. Oh, and then here's the backing of that, the 2011 World Championships. It's got the nice black and white era, I guess, backing, which looks very nice. And here we have that tin promo, the Heart Gold Soul Silver Black Star promo from the tin that I was mentioning earlier that came with that other promo. And this is the Suicune that showed up in the tin. There's not a lot to know about this. The reason why they were making these shiny Pokemon at the time was because of the movie that was released, the 13th movie, the Zoroark Master of Illusions, or something like that, Ruler of Illusions. They showcased a shiny Suicune, Raikou, and Entei, so that's why they did shiny Suicune, Raikou, and Entei tins, and this was the card that came out in that tin. Alongside that, in the Call of... this is September 2010. And alongside that, in the Call of the Legends in 2011, February 9th, we have another shiny Suicune. Basically releasing for a lot of the same reason why this one was, because of the movie, as well as the fact that you could get a shiny Suicune in Heart Gold Soul Silver as an event. That you needed to have to trade or transfer up from Diamond and Pearl Platinum, Heart Gold Soul Silver up to Black and White, so you could catch Zoroark. So I think there was a big push to, like, say, hey, get this Suicune at GameStop or whatever, wherever it was, before it's too late. So they emphasized it even more so by releasing this Call of Legends shiny Suicune. Now we are in the Black and White era, full on with the Plasma Blast Suicune right here. So this is August 14, 2013. It's actually got a pretty dang solid ability for competitive, which is why it was featured in the third place deck list, Crazy Punch, piloted by Michikazu Suda. Once again, apologize on the names, but Michikazu Suda got third place and was able to, in the 2014 World Championships, which was the first year of X and Y, which is why we got this nice theming in the back. And yeah, the ability is pretty dang solid. It just protects from AEX Pokemon, which was heavily prevalent at the time of the Black and White and X and Y era. Now moving into probably my second favorite artwork of the entire collection. It's the Breakpoint Suicune. I adore this artwork, and I'm very happy that we have the nice holo foil as well as the reverse holo, so we can see the artwork without the holo pattern to make it to obscure any of the artwork. I really do like this artwork. It's very nice, and luckily it has a third variant as a Cosmos Holos that released in a blister pack with Raikou and Entei as well. Moving on to probably my least favorite artwork of the entire collection is the Trainer Kit Pikachu Libre and Suicune collection deck thing. It was basically like two decks that teaches people how to play the game, and this is what they released. Suicune was one of them. I remember these are the ones that I picked up back then as well. Like these are the ones I pulled out of the pack because right around this time when I was getting back into the trading card game, and so these were the ones that I picked up myself. So I think they have definitely seen some wear and tear. Regardless, I don't love them too much, but there is some interesting and unique things that if you are super collective with your collecting, it's a great way to put it. In the bottom right, you can see it's got a little stamp that shows a silhouette of Suicune. And on the Suicune side of the deck, every single card in that deck had that little stamp, including all of the energies. Right here. Including all of the energies from that, also had that same stamp of the Suicune in the bottom right corner. So that's another weird thing to look for, because I know they did a couple of these trainer kit decks, especially in the Sun and Moon era, that if one of your favorite Pokemon is either featured on the main list or just in the deck, then that's something you might want to look forward to pick up, because they were only ever printed like that. Also, if you are a Suicune enjoyer, maybe a Pikachu enjoyer for the Pikachu Libre or any of those other decks, and you do want to collect every single even card that mentions or like showcases Suicune, you probably just want to pick up that entire deck just so you could have them all. I don't have those. I lost them to time. They may be in my room somewhere, but I don't believe that they are. Regardless, I didn't feel it necessary to have every single one of them. As long as I had the energy, I thought it was pretty fine. Plus, the energy is just cool because it's a water energy and it fits the theming. Okay, so next up is probably my favorite part of the collection, is the Lost Thunder collection, the Lost Thunder set. And there is a handful of these. I'm going to get them all out all at the same time. Now, the Lost Thunder set is actually the reason why I started collecting Suicune, the Suicune Pokemon cards. Because of this set, the pre-release and everything about it, I was all in about this Pokemon. I mean, I already was about the Pokemon, but like all in about collecting every single card in the series. I had a handful of them at this point. I had like the Breakpoint and everything. But when Lost Thunder came out, I was like, you know what? I want to do it. And this is probably like 9 years ago now, maybe close to 10 years ago. No, it would have been like 8 years ago. Okay, like 8 years ago when Lost Thunder came out, I was like, okay, we're doing it. We're collecting every single Suicune variant that has ever existed. And because there was 5 of them in the same set, and I feel like this was a good time to jump in. I went to the pre-release and was able to get like both of these probably at the pre-release, and also this at the pre-release, which is the promo from one of the 4 decks that you got from playing the pre-release. And that's where I got those 3. I couldn't get this staff one until a little bit later. I ended up just buying it on eBay back like 8 years ago. And that brings up to my next little tip, is that if your Pokemon that you are collecting was ever a pre-release promo, then you probably want to get those as soon as you possibly can, because those prices will probably only go up. I know in the Sword and Shield era they kind of dipped down a bit because you could just buy pre-release kits for in the wild, like at Walmart or Target or something. But in like Sun and Moon and before, all of the pre-release sets were basically only at card game stores during the pre-release. And on top of that, at those pre-releases, each one of those promos also has a staff promo. If you look in the bottom left of the artwork, it's got the word staff. It's got a little stamp. And those were given out to the, I guess, the judges or the owners of the store for essentially putting on the event. They are hard to come by. They are not the hardest to come by. It's still possible and doable, but if you don't get them fairly quickly after the pre-release, you'll probably end up paying a pretty penny for them. I think I got lucky, and I think I only paid like 30 bucks for this thing because I bought it like a week or 2 after the pre-release. And I think it's like over 100 bucks now, so I'm happy I got it when I did. Last one here in this little collection of the Lost Thunder is the legendary Pokemon Cosmos Holo Foil stamped one. This one's weird. I don't quite know too much about it. It's still sealed in the packaging. So, from what I understand, this was a variant that was released at Waterstone stores, a promotion that they gave out at the stores, and I don't even know what Waterstones is. I know it's a store in the UK. And from what I understood is that this was a UK exclusive that you could only get in the UK. That said, I'm pretty dang positive that I purchased mine on eBay from Australia. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if there's water stones in Australia or what have you. Regardless, I didn't pay too much for it, so I'm happy with when I got it. And which also puts up another tip is, like, if there are weird promos like this that release, just get a hold of them, because promos that are weird like this at random stores that are exclusive to areas of the world probably will only always go up in price rather than go down in price. So I don't know how much that is right now. I think it's probably close to $30 if I had to guess, and I think I paid around like $7. So yeah, regardless, really strange that those prices go up, I guess, and also just the fact that the promos are weird. I don't know. So that's the first half of Lost Thunder. The second half of Lost Thunder is the GX cards that came out in the set. So we have the three. We have the basic one, the full art one, and the rainbow rare one. Now in my entire collection, really the only ever regret I guess I would ever have was not picking up this rainbow rare Suicune earlier. At the time during like the Lost Thunder release, the card store I went to had one of these in their cases, and I think they wanted like $30 to $40 for it back then. And I just kept putting it off and off, thinking it's gonna go down, it's gonna go down. Well, it never did, and eventually I ended up having to pay, I think, $50 for it, which in hindsight really isn't that much of a jump in comparison to other cards that I've seen go up in price. But I also don't really love the printing of this Suicune. Like, the cut is kind of bad. It's really bulky on these corners, and then this side is not as much. Regardless, it's not the end of the world. The Suicune GX is also interesting because I tried playing it into a deck and it's really bad. Don't ever try. Suicune GX is really bad. I still like the cards though. And this is all one set, which is very interesting to me. Lost Thunder was a crazy set for Suicune enjoyers, and I'm happy that I was able to get them all, and that this was the first, I guess, quote-unquote collection that I was able to complete. Next up, we have the Darkness Ablaze Suicunes. We just have two of them, just the holofoil and the reverse holofoil. One other final thing that I wanted to note about just the fascinating thing about collecting such an old Pokemon is that you get to see the TCG throughout all its years, the different holofoil patterns, the different reverse holofoil patterns, and so on. It's very unique. Also, so this is Darkness Ablaze. We also have a Shining Fates printing of the same card, which just features a shiny Suicune. Same card, just different artwork. Not much else to say about that. I don't love the Shining Fates, shiny Pokemon that much, honestly, but it is like one of the first iterations that I have to show off of the foiling pattern of a card. I really do like the foiling of trading cards in general, and Shining Fates Suicune is probably one of the first ones that we could really show that off with. It is kind of showed off in this next one, the Suicune V full art specifically, but it's not as good as some of the ones we'll get to in the future. These two came out in Evolving Skies in 2021, and not much to say about them. I did try playing these in a deck at one point. I did something like Inteleon and Suicune, and it was playable, like it was fine, but then Arceus came out, or excuse me, not Arceus, Dialga, no, Palkia, the water one. Palkia came out, and it was just a better attacker than Suicune ever was, and so it instantly got dropped for Palkia. But I still played it with Suicune because I was biased. And this is the next one that I want to talk about. This is a continuation of those Pop Series ones I was bringing up earlier. We have the same exact card from Evolving Skies here, except for this one has that little stamp in the corner, the Play Pokemon stamp. Now, if any of your Pokemon that you're trying to collect every single card for has a Play Pokemon stamped version of the card, you need to pick it up like almost as quickly as you possibly can, because these Play Pokemon stamped variants, they are very hard to come by because more people collect the card game than actually play the card game. And so these ones that you get from playing the card game are few and far between. I was lucky and I was able to pick this up almost immediately after the the pack that this one came out in. I think I paid like $5 or $6 for it. I don't know how much it is now, but I do know that some of these Play Pokemon stamps, especially from the Sword and Shield era, they are absurd in price. Think of things like Charizard, for example, like crazy prices on those cards. Now, we've got my favorite art of all time for Pokemon, or for Suicune. And this is the Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery from January 20th, 2023. I really do like this artwork. It also, on top of that, is from one of my favorite illustrators. How do you say this? Atsushi Furusawa. Atsushi Furusawa. One of my favorite illustrators in the card game, and I really do adore this artwork. And it was the time, or when I got this card, it was around the same time that I realized that I prefer the Japanese variants of Pokemon cards, especially because of the textures. I did mention earlier that I like textures of cards so much, and while this one's not terrible, let me show you a comparison between an English card and a Japanese card. So I have 2 PSA graded cards in my collection, and they are these Crown Zenith and V-Star Universe Suicune. They're the only PSA cards I'm ever gonna have to. I really don't care about PSA. I just really do like the cases that they're in. I don't know, they look nice or whatever. But there's a couple things I want to point out because of these cards. So we have the English printing, which is exactly the same as this one right here. Not much to it other than the fact that it's in English. I guess, I don't know. It's just PSA 10, so I guess that's the difference between the raw one. But the Japanese variant of it, you can really see crazy different foiling in it. Like the English one, the whole card kind of just shimmers and Suicune doesn't. But the Japanese one, like the auroras in the background, the stars in the background, every individual thing shimmers in its own way. It is so cool to me. I love this. Like, because of this card, it made me realize how much I do enjoy Japanese artwork, or rather Japanese copies of cards, because of how much better their texturing is. As like, finally, details like these stars up here, like each individual star and like line of the shooting star is textured, compared to this where it's really not. It's kind of just there. I don't know if it's focusing. It kind of is. So yeah, the last note about that is that I paid less money for this slab than I did this individual raw card. So Japanese Pokemon cards are typically cheaper for the most part. There are some that are more expensive, but for the most part, Japanese Pokemon cards are cheaper. And so if you are much bigger on like quality for cards and you don't really mind not being able to read them, look at the Japanese cards, because they can be that much nicer. Chinese cards, honestly, is also kind of like that too, because I think they are printed in Japan as well. So look at Chinese cards, but I don't think they're that much cheaper than the Japanese cards, if at all. Alright, we're winding down to the last 5. We have Suicune EX from the Pokemon Trading Card Game Classic Collection. This was featured in one of the decks. I think it was the Blastoise deck, because there was a Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur, and there was a Lugia, Ho-Oh, and Suicune, and those were the EXs of the decks, and this was in the Blastoise, because Lugia, I think, had to have been Venusaur, because it was colorless. Regardless, I really do like the artwork of this card. I'm a big fan. I think this is a really nice EX card. That said, it does have some interesting things about it. So, this is it's like the 5th card I've shown you that is not tournament legal. Those World Championship cards are not tournament legal, but this one is not tournament legal either, even though it does have the normal back. It does say on the card, somewhere, right there, at the very bottom of the text box, right above the rule box and the retreat cost, it says it is not tournament legal. And that's with the same with every single card in the Pokemon Trading Card Game Classic product. Another thing to note is that this card was also reprinted in a collection called the Combined Powers Premium Collection, which had the EX, Ho-Oh, Suicune, and Lugia as a promotional card. I did not know that was coming out, so I ended up purchasing this this single before that was even announced. So this one probably, almost certainly, was from that Trading Card Game Classic collection. Regardless, it is not a very expensive card, even before that reprint. So I'm happy. It's a very, very pretty card for a good price. The other interesting thing as well is that it doesn't have a rarity marker on it. It's very, like, it's equivalent to a double rare in the Scarlet and Violet era of cards, but it doesn't have the little stars on it like the double rares normally would. Now we got the last 4 cards in English, which all came out together, and it's the Prismatic Evolutions in January 17th of 2025. Now every other card that I have shown you today, the max amount of variants it had as 3. Prismatic Evolutions does the weird thing and makes it so every single card pretty much has 4 variants, and instantly makes it kind of hard to get them all. So we have a non-holo Suicune, a reverse holo Suicune, a Pokeball pattern Suicune, and a Master Ball pattern Suicune. Now, they are very subtle, so I will do my best to show them off. If you look at the bottom of the text box, where it shows the Pokeball and the Master Ball, the one on the right is the Master Ball, so you can see it's got the little M and the little bumps on the top of the ball. I do like the foiling a lot of these cards, and that's why I'm okay with them being weird to collect because of the Master Ball thing. I think the foiling looks really nice. It's akin to Japanese foiling, maybe not as good of quality, but it still looks pretty dang solid. So I'm happy that I'm happy that they did it like this. And so that is every single English Suicune card in the collection. And I'm pretty dang positive is every variant of every card as well. If I am missing a variant, please let me know, because I would like to get it if I am missing it. But I've done like extensive research and found new ones that I didn't know about that. So I'm pretty dang positive that is every single variant of Suicune. Now, we have 2 Japanese cards, because these 2 Japanese cards were art exclusives to Japan. We've never received these cards. Well, we did receive this card, just not this artwork, but we've never received this card. So this is Rocket Suicune. I don't know what set it is. It's VS, I think. I don't know, but it's an e-reader card, which is interesting. It's got some nice hollow foil patterning, and then this one is I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm not sure. There it is. It's this one. It's the Pop series card, but with a different artwork. So it is unique, though. It is very, very weird why this card exists the way it does. So I find this one so much more fascinating than this one too. Like, this one's nice and all, but like, if you look at the bottom right of this card, it's got a little logo for Pokepark 2005. And the little stamp underneath the artwork right in the middle, right where my finger is, that logo is for a ride at Pokepark in 2005. It was a merry-go-round ride, and you could ride on like Suicune, Entei, and Raikou, and I think some other Pokemon as well. And after you got done riding, they would give you this card. And so this promo is from that amusement park, and you were given it after you rode on the ride. I find it very fascinating. So yeah, I really do like this card. And that is it. That is every single Suicune card, to my knowledge, in existence, as well as their variants in English. And I am happy I was able to show off to you guys. And for good measure, I do have all the Walking Wake cards in like the Ultra Pro 1 touches. They're not really in a good order. Like, these are the original ones, and the Reverse Holo, the EX, the EX from the tin, gold rare, the gold rare from some other set, I don't know off the top of my head, the full art, and then the special illustration rare. And this is probably the coolest one, which is why I'm going to show it off to a little better. Nice. Yeah, I don't know. I collect all the Walking Wakes as well. I don't know if I mean, I definitely don't like Walking Wake as much as I like Suicune, but I kind of feel obligated to collect the Walking Wakes as well as Suicune, so here I am. Also, it's a new Pokemon, so if you like a new Pokemon a lot and you want to collect every Pokemon card of the new Pokemon, it's really easy to get in right when the card's first coming out. Anyway, yeah, that is it. That is all of my Suicune cards. I'm very happy I was able to show them off. Very happy I'm able to complete the collection. I'll post pictures of my display where I have them all on the wall. I'm very happy with it all, and thank you again for watching. And as always, keep it rad.